Morning, morning, morning. See who's here. Rookman Gangadine, morning. And happy Thursday to you as well. Lynette Harris, morning. Roxanne, morning, morning. There's my brooms. J Dimple, 66, morning. Pauline Buckmeyer, morning. Shirley Jimenez, morning. Morning, Arlene Alberta, morning to you. Lucille Charles Ford, good morning. Desmond Samuel, morning, sir. Ruben Rogers, joining us from Maryland. Good morning to you. Cyril Mayas, morning. Glenn Richardson, Neil Francois, always present. Morning to you, sir. Kathy Ann Best, morning. Donna Walcott, Brenda Isaac, and Nigel Woodley. It's an interesting spelling for Nigel. So we have one. Good morning to His Excellency, the President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Marcia Keegan. Nigel, how was live at lunch? I wasn't able to make it. But of course, I know you and Marcia would have done a fantastic job. Phyllis Antoine, morning. Claire Irish, morning, Claire. Morning, Alison Rogers, Joseph. Christopher Serrett, morning, sir. Morning, Alison Boyce, Anne Marie Monteith, morning. Nina Lazari, morning. Jennifer Dorset, morning, Annette. Gilland, morning. Terrence Swan, Kennedy Joseph, good morning to you guys. Lynn Arundel. Gemma Alexander, morning. Angela Kati, morning to you. Patricia McKenzie, morning, morning. Morning to Angie. I need to give Angie a call today. I haven't heard from Angie in a while. Morning to Mother Tunapuna. Me also say belated birthday greetings to Daniel Knight, who is one of our ardent listeners. See, Nigel is saying it was real nice. A cruise ship came in at the same time. Excellent, excellent. That's what we're talking about. So I guess that would be a more frequent event, ideally, so that when the cruise ships come in, that there would be some level of entertainment for those persons who may not be going on tours, but who just want to take a little walk around Port of Spain and so on, do some light shopping, and then head back on the ship. Morning, Maria. Good, Douglas. Morning to you, Garnet Greenwich. Morning. Linda Supreme. Morning, Margaret Thomas. Good morning to you guys. Right. Let me see here. Find this club. So just for this here. Right, Ashton Robertson, morning. So, see the time there. Morning, let me say good morning to Carol Myers. I didn't see Carol pop up yet, but what did I miss her? No, not yet. Right. Yes, folks. So, let's see what's on the menu for today, 6:38. How time flies on this, the 16th day of November. Is it 2023? It's a month and just a little bit from Christmas, and then before you know it, we will be in 2024. Yeah. Ashton Jack, blessings to you too, sir. Simdom 17, morning. Hazel Aline, morning. So again, this is another one of those mornings where I have to beg your forbearance to play one of those folks that we can't stand. Yeah, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to highlight the hypocrisy of these folks who consider themselves to be the government in waiting. Yeah, love to call themselves that. The government in waiting, the alternative government, as the kitten from Oropuch loves to say, that the PNM is a government on its way out, and that they have no doubt that the United National Congress will form the next government of Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, but as time wears on, the political landscape continues to evolve. So we see Mr. Philip Alexander, who has indicated that he is stepping away from active politics. He says he's given all that he can. He's tried all that he could do, and all of that. But this is a man who just 3 months ago, after the local election, on the night of the local election, in fact, was preaching about how the PEP is here to stay and all of the things that the PEP is going to do, and Philip will fix it. That's his tagline, or that's the party's tagline. Philip will fix it, not the PEP will fix it. Philip will fix it. Again, one-manism. Same thing with the UNC. Revolves around one person, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, right? Cult of personality, as we would have seen in 2015. The election campaign was Kamla 2015. A whole election campaign around one person. So now Mr. Alexander has indicated he is departing from active politics, but there seems to be some confusion as to the real reason that he's leaving, because we saw over the last few days, the last couple of weeks, judgments coming against him for his mouth. Things that he would have said against certain people. So I think he has to pay the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, and the latest addition is Makila Pandey, having to pay her almost $1 million. So far his mouth has written 3 checks that his bank account cannot cash. Yeah? So almost $2 million in liabilities. And for his sake, if you don't pay it soon, well, I guess it will accrue interest and the like. So it's only a matter of time, if it hasn't been done before, that he's going to probably set up a GoFundMe or call on his supporters and others to make donations so that he can pay his legal fees, in addition to having to pay all of these hefty awards for his mouth. And yet still, people continue to support this man for saying things. You see, that's what's happening when you like to lie. And I always say, if you have to lie, make sure the truth is difficult to find. So when you go down by the interchange, the New Dago Martin interchange that is almost complete, it's in its final phase. I see they're doing some paving of the last set of roads, the one that takes you over onto the other side of the highway across by Victoria Keys there. And he would have done a live a few weeks ago claiming that this interchange cost $2 billion. $2 billion. I see where you get figures from. But you see, people will lap up that, yeah, great is the PNM this. And the cost of the project is $185 million. A far cry. More than 10 times less the price that he claims. But anyway, that's why his mouth that's why he's in the trouble that he's in today. So, but we expect to see him back on the political front soon enough. Right now he's looking for sympathy. Now can I talk about he might be migrating, but you can't run from your liabilities. Even if you go Canada or the US or wherever, you're still owing the people the money. And if it is that they need to move to seize whatever assets you may have in order to get the money. But this is another thing. Let me get this here. If we thought that Gary Griffith had a hubris problem, Lord. Let me get this here. Two of them, like, they go in steady competition. Let me just read a little bit of this, right? This is a post that this man put out 17 hours ago. Because of my voice, there's a commission of inquiry into the divers' deaths at Paria. Because of him, his voice, that there's an inquiry. Never mind the fact that mere days after this incident would have happened, the Prime Minister would have indicated they were going to launch an inquiry. At first, it was supposed to be a 3-man inquiry. I think, if memory serves me correctly, and of industry experts that wouldn't have cost the state as much money. People said no, we don't want that because they will cover up and they will hire the people to do the inquiry, and then they will generate a report that exonerates Paria and exonerates the government, and we don't want that. We want a commission of inquiry. No problem. Everybody knows commissions of inquiry are very expensive. So the bill racked up to over $15 million already, and they complaining. But is all they wanted that? So let's say we don't want no 3-man inquiry. That is crookery, fakery in the bakery. We don't want that. We want a whole inquiry. Up to now, report can't hand in yet. How many deadlines have we heard? We heard it would have been April, then we heard June, then we heard August, mid October, now we are in the 30th of November. It will be handed into the president. We wait to see. We wait to see. Right? Well, what kind of excuse? Let me continue here with that. Right. He says, because of my voice, people of every race and class could once again use Wildflower Park without being chased by security guards. Because of my voice, the handicapped have reserved parking spaces. Because of my voice, no one dies due to vehicular accidents at Gandhi Village roundabout anymore. Pit bulls no longer maul children to death, and the Children's Authority Act was passed into law because of his voice. I am the voice that etched Akil Chambers and Andrea Barrett's names into permanent history so no one forgets. So the only reason why we remember what happened to Akil Chambers and Andrea Barrett is because of Philip Edward Alexander. Diego Martin residents no longer take hours to get home, again because of Philip's voice. Are confused because the very same roundabout that you're cussing, the same roundabout that you claim they put only because it's to benefit Azar, Westmall. So the government spent $2 billion to build an interchange and an overpass to benefit Richard Azar, the owner of Westmall. And that's all it was for. Yeah. Now we see the free flow of traffic. They had an issue with the roundabout that can't work there, the amount of traffic that is coming down there. He was one of them who was bashing that. Fisherman and Friends of the Sea, Gary Aboud. Remember, he went down there. Next one, do a live, lying again, claiming that the government gave away the land where where they have all of the head office of the main contractor. A prefab building that they're using there, and once the project is finished, all of that will be dismantled and so on. He went on do a live and telling people the government gave away that land to the Chinese, just like they leased the Pitch Lake to the Chinese, and hold up an article from 2012, 2013, where the People's Partnership would have had some agreement to provide asphalt to China for 3 years and all of that. You put up that, right? Big and bold in your life, and in your background, but claiming that this administration leased the Lake asphalt to the Chinese. But here it is that you have Philip taking credit for that. You talk about confused. I don't know if it is all those awards mess up your brain. But there is evidence, sir. We have the life that you did, causing the very same interchange that you're now taking credit for, to say because of you, Diego Martin residents no longer have to face traffic when they're going up. Well, all right. Moruga got their roads repaired, and Upper Rich Plain got water for the first time in 62 years. Why? Because of Philip's voice. Wow. He says, I could go on and on. Oh God, I wish you would have, Philip. Please enlighten me as to how many other things have happened in this country because of your voice. Without holding public office, I have done far more for more people for free than any other politician alive or dead. Without holding public office, I have done more for more people for free than any other politician alive or dead. Members of the public have been noticing these seemingly endless lawsuits and accompanying awards and have been asking me about them. Some have asked if this is in any way connected to me stepping out of politics, and the short answer is yes. I need to insulate the party we built while I attempted to deal with all of it. There have in fact been 10 of these lawsuits in different stages of completion, and I believe it is time the public was made aware and brought up to date with all of it and the hundreds of thousands in legal fees alone that it has cost so far. I will be hosting a live press conference in the near future to share whatever I can. Thank you all for your support. Philip Edward Alexander. Yes, so we're going to hold a press conference to ask for money. We wait. Talk about hubris. All them things I didn't know. Well, if you didn't know, now you know. All these things Philip did for you. Let me read from Narcissist number 2. This number. Let me get it. So 2 days ago, Narcissist number 2 puts up a post. You know what I'm talking about, Gary the Great. And it reads, a tale of two leaders. Some hold the position to serve, while others use it to be served. While in Grenada this weekend, and he has up a picture with himself and I guess the Deputy Prime Minister of Grenada. On the left and on the right, he has a picture of Dr. Rowley on the golf course in stride with his golf club, having taken a swing, yes, and looking to see where the ball lands. He says, while in Grenada this weekend, I encountered their acting prime minister. He was driving his car with no security detail, just being a humble individual on the ground, meeting and serving his constituents on a sunny Grenadian Saturday. Fast forward to 80 miles south on a Tuesday morning when most are hard at work trying to make ends meet. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, in true Idi Amin style, is on the Mocha golf course behaving like a warlord. He is accompanied by a security detail comprising dozens of special branch officers, all facing the road, scrutinizing every passing car as if it were a threat. This is supported by 5 Prados with blue lights on standby for a possible invasion, even though there is no apparent threat. So 5 Prados, and you're telling me dozens of special branch officers, dozens, right? That's what he says. Comprising dozens of special branch officers. Last I checked, a dozen is 12. And you're telling me dozens. So let's say 2 dozens. Right? Because more than one, because he is plural here. So it must be at least 2 dozens. So that's 24. 5 Prados. Okay. So if it's 5 Prados, then, and the Prime Minister has to be in one of those Prados, and I'm pretty sure you don't have the Prime Minister sit down in the center and special branch officers on either side of him, because last I checked, the Prime Minister have the whole back seat for himself, and then you have the driver and 1 officer in front, so that vehicle only has 3. But I'm confused because he's saying it's dozens. All right. I have seen the Prime Minister's security detail on many an occasion, and I never see no dozens of special branch officers. But this is the former Minister of National Security. This is the former Commissioner of Police. So he know. Me know. He know. Okay. I continue. It reflects a never-see-come-see attitude. Protect yourself at all costs, even while playing golf, utilizing 25% of the strength of the special branch, frolicking before going back to the golf club on a working day to have a few with the boys, whilst the remainder of the nation drowns in blood. Runaway crime, a collapsed healthcare system, a crashed economy, an education system riddled with school violence, require a work ethic that knows no breaks for golf. It demands 18 to 20 hours a day of hard work by all concerned, as has been demonstrated by others in the past. But instead, what we get is the lazy, self-serving leadership style of the Keith Rowley-led PNM administration. So he vexed Dr. Rowley for going on the golf course for 1 day for the week. But then the other day he was praising the woman who he told us took 5-day weekends. It demands 18 to 20 hours a day of hard work by all concerned, as has been demonstrated by others in the past. Who's the others? Who's the others? Kamala? She used to work 18 to 20 hours a day. Doing what? Because you, the same one, you told us nobody else. You said she used to work 5-day weekends. She come and she show up in the parliament for a few minutes, just so that they could mark her present on the roster. and then she would leave to go to her office in the Red House or wherever her office was when they were down at the waterfront. And then she go on home. But you're coming to criticize Dr. Rowley for, so you find he should work 18 to 20 hours a day. That's why he has ministers with portfolios whose job it is to manage the public servants under them who get paid every month to do the work. That's why we have a police service. That's why we have an army. That's why we have a Coast Guard. We have Defense Force. We have an Air Guard. Gary, you were once part of the army, so you know about all of these things. But it demands 18 to 20 hours a day. Okay. 18 to 20 hours a day. So every day when he coming out from his house in Fairview Drive in Mocha, he always had to look across at the golf course. I must see, you seen Rowley there? Where Rowley? You seeing him? Playing golf there? Mm-hmm. Let me wind down the window and tell two cars behind him. Yeah, let me try and go with the special branch to see what they will do. So I could claim victimization. Mm-hmm. Right. That is narcissist number 2, Gary and Philip. I don't know which one of them is the greater narcissist, but okay. We will see about that. There was another one I wanted to touch on. Where is it? No, he's not is he the political leader? Who is the political leader of Hope? That's not. Let me see. Did I see this here? No, I did not. Is Louis Leasing the political leader of Hope? I can't remember. I know Karen Nunes Teixeira is a deputy political leader. Or is it Timothy Hamilton? Let me see. Did I see this here? So I saw Mr. Leasing in yesterday's newspaper is complaining that he's being targeted because every time he travels, he gets singled out at the airport to be searched. Right. Give me 1 second. Let me just see if I had saved this or did I? If I didn't. If you want to, I don't find it somewhere else. Just yes. Former Port of Spain Mayor Louis Leasing believes he is being singled out for searches at the Piaco International Airport. He says he has been pulled aside and searched at least 4 times while heading to different destinations, including the US and London. Mr. Leasing finds his situation suspicious and he has questioned Caribbean Airlines on the matter. However, he says he was told that they were just random searches. Mr. Leasing is not convinced. The businessman says he does not trust the current administration and says he has since made contact with the US Homeland Security on the issue, seeking an explanation. Mr. Leasing was speaking on the morning show, I-95.5. Right. Yeah, so Mr. Leasing said, now, I mean, for those of us who travel frequently, you know, sometimes when you're traveling, when you go up to the counter and you check in and so on, and they hand you your boarding pass, sometimes you would notice on the boarding pass SSS, right? And once you see that on the boarding pass, it means that you've been singled out for secondary search. So when you go upstairs and they ask you to see your boarding pass, and they see the SSS on it after they send through your bags and so on, the immigration officer, the customs, whoever, security, if it is that you have carry-on luggage, they will give it a second search. They bring their thing, because I had that experience on a couple of occasions. So they come and they swipe your bag with some kind of swab, and then they have this machine that they would put the swab in to check to see if there's any cocaine residue and all of these things on your bag. I don't know why it is. And it's just a random thing because the ticket comes up, and I know it is not something that is unique to Trinidad and Tobago. It happens. It happened to me on 2 occasions that I had this SSS on my ticket. So if you have nothing to be concerned about, you just go through, you check your bag, you take your things, and you go. I mean, I had the experience where I I think it was last year when I was traveling and I got singled out, and they passed some swab on my carry-on, and it was detecting something with some cocaine or whatever, and then so swab it once, swab it twice. You swab the outside of the bag, you get in this thing. You swab the inside of the bag, but you ain't get nothing. So if I had cocaine, it would be on the inside of the bag, right, not on the outside. So then they just had to call the police, had to come carry in a room and question you and all kind of bacchanal, the back room. And then they have their swabs that is do, and they pass it on the bag. And if it's cocaine, the swab would come up blue. So they do it once, they do it twice, thing, nothing. All right. So, like, well, clearly the airports authorities machinery is malfunctioning. So something needs to be done about that. Yeah, but I don't know what Louis is saying. He don't trust the administration. Louis, come on. Come on. You really feel Dr. Rowley and them had time with you? Really? Louis? Hope and no threat. What has Hope done since you all became a party? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. All they had, what was the name of the blue party they had before Hope? And they contested, I think it was a local election, and get a tail washed. Yes, Louis D. Singh was political leader of that party. It didn't last very long. Can't remember the name of it. It was so insignificant. So insignificant. I mean, come on. Government decided to single you out. So what's so special about you? Hope is really a part of PJ like Karen Luna, Denise Deming, Louis, and others, who have an axe to grind with the PNM, have an axe to grind with Dr. Rowley. Single you out. So what? Look, what's so special about you? If they had a single out anybody, it should be people like Munilal, Paria, and these guys. Not you. Anyway, the man looking for attention. He probably find they ain't mentioning his name enough in the newspapers. So, yeah. So that was just the couple things that, the short ones I wanted to touch on. I see where Mr. Jockey Shorts Award man has finally responded or spoken to the issue of what happened last week Saturday with the shortage of maxi taxis in Tobago with the arrival of their first cruise ship for the season. I'm going to bother to play, but anyway. But it's who I wanted to play. I always say if hypocrisy was a party, it would be the UNC. And it have so many hypocrites in that party. It's like every day when they wake up and they get off their bed, they try to decide, let me see who could be the biggest hypocrite today. I want to play for you all a little bit of Rudal Munilal. From yesterday, they've restarted their midweek press conference. And I think tonight they're starting back the pavement conversations. So it seems they've abandoned for the time being the Monday night forum. So now we get in midweek press conference. Tuesday is the pavement conversations. Sunday morning is the waste of time press conference. And the only thing they need to bring back now is they used to have some meetings by the corner, but close to some bars. You all remember that? Not so long ago? Yeah. So that's the only one to come back. When Julie John made that famous statement, when they go low, we go below the pavement. So it seems they're going back below the pavement. But anyway, permit me just to play a little bit of Rudal Munilal. This one. Let me get this here. Congratulations. Where is it? Right. Yeah, he's one of those that I know we can't stand to hear, but forgive me for today, please. Right. Let me just connect this here. Right, so we connected. Let's see what's going on here.
For a very comprehensive overview of the crisis that we face at this time in Trinidad and Tobago in the context of the cyber attacks, not only at PSTT but at other locations as well, and the role of government and indeed the role of that almost hidden board of directors at TSTT This morning, I will speak on that matter from the perspective of national security as well. But members of the press, may I also begin with a few introductory remarks and to remind the national community and the media that over the last few hours, from the official data, we have passed the murder toll of 500. So whatever is happening now, we have a murder toll at mid-November, more or less, of 500 plus. Some will say 502, but the official data, at least from the police, would tell us 500. It matters not in that the murder continues, the crime continues, the government's failure and the failure of Minister Hines and the national security apparatus continues. And that is the fundamental point, that amid all that is happening, very critical matters as MP Paria outlined, the murder and the crime is not stopping. There is no decline in terms of criminality. Quite recently, as you would know, a German, I believe, diplomat was robbed. In the company, I believe, of a local person was robbed at gunpoint. While we express concern that diplomats are now targets, as we had been warning before, we also express concern that nationals and citizens of Trinidad and Tobago have been the targets of this type of attack, this type of robbery, this type of brazen daylight attack by bandits and so on with firearms. They have been the subject of attack for years under Keith Rowley and the People's National Movement government. Within recent time as well, a very strange development is taking place where it seems now among the most dangerous place you can be is in front of a police station. And within recent time, like yesterday or so, someone came out of a police station having been held by the police in custody and being questioned on matters and so on of interest to the police ongoing investigations and so on. Would you believe someone walk out of a police station, the Belmont police station, a gentleman from East Dry River in Port of Spain? He was ambushed and shot as he walked out of a police station. Now, this is not the hot spot that we're talking about throughout the country. This is in front of a police station where presumably you have sentry, you have guards, you have police, mulling around in the car park and so on. And the criminal elements fear not. That is the issue. They fear not. They are now prepared to take you out in front of police station and very soon in the police station. That is where we have reached in this country. And this speaks volumes to the collapse of intelligence, the collapse of of policing, the collapse of our security in Trinidad and Tobago. And who is responsible for security? Hines says he's not responsible. Dr. Rowley is always reminding us that he's chairman of something called the National Security Council. Well, he fled, he jetted off, as Barry told us. He left for a global Marco Polo type trip around the world. I think he will be in Saudi Arabia, he will be in London, he'll be somewhere else doing some things that will bring absolutely no benefits. And when we file freedom of information or parliamentary question, I put it to you that that trip Dr. Rowley is taking with, what is the guy from around the world in it? It is Passepartout. He's taken with Passepartout. They will round up a nice, cool $3 million in traveling, in eating, in hotel when they are finished with that trip. And we will get the data and show you. So while that is happening, 500 dead and more to come. They have jetted off and so on. Dr. Rowley, before he left, gave us a sick joke. He said this country must become a cashless society. There's some...
The amount of hypocrisy in that 4 minutes and 54 seconds of, well, whatever you want to call it. So let me deal with the first one, right? So he talks about of yesterday, well, 500 murders, we've reached 500, and he felt the need to start his discourse with that. I want to let the population know, in case all you didn't know, in case the media reported yet, in case the police decide to suppress it, I want it published, right? So I want to say it up front so it would be on the news, so the whole country will know. We reached 500 because I didn't see it on the front page of the newspapers yet. I'm disappointed. I need to see it. And since they say, maybe if I see it, it might end up on the front page tomorrow. So let me talk about that. That's the first thing you want to talk about. And he's lamented 500 murders. Matters not. Criminality continues. I'm sure when he woke up yesterday morning and he said, hey, 500, thank you, Father. You know how long we begging you for this? You know how long we begging you for this? It take long. It should have been since June. We should have reached 500. But nevertheless, we reached that marker. I know the PNM would have been hoping that it could have stayed under 500. But thank you that it didn't. We need to have a special prayer session to thank you for this. Yeah, we need to throw Thanksgiving because we crossed 500. So we say some will say 500, some will say 502, but based on the police official statistics, it's 500. So they're going to spend the next month and a half praying that it reach 700. Yeah? Because based on the same police statistics, at the same time last year, we were at 534. This year, we are at 502. So we are 32 less, same corresponding period than last year, right? Nobody in talking about that to say, well, okay, maybe that is an improvement. No. But Gary the Great will put up a post on his Facebook page talking about how in Jamaica, you've seen a reduction in crime. The number of murders, year-on-year statistics, there are 12% less murders this year, same time as compared to last year, right? And this is something for him to put up on his Facebook page to chastise Keith Rowley and chastise Fitzgerald Hines, that they need to, clearly Jamaica knows what they're doing with respect to the fight in crime. Jamaica has had state of emergency after state of emergency this year in several different parishes and so on. They are their wits' end, yet still murders, the murder toll is close to, if not it has probably passed 1,200. But since early on in the year, there was a prediction that Jamaica's murder toll would reach at least 1,400 this year. Last year it was 1,498 based on official statistics. And so far, they seem headed to that same trajectory. But it is worth talking about and praising Jamaica because they had a 12% reduction year to date in the number of murders. But the other day, Jayanti was saying, oh, you see this government, they want to talk, the police commissioner talking about the rate of increase has decreased. And the number of murders year to date is lower than what it was last year. And this is things for them to be proud of. But Gary proud of it happening in Jamaica, but in Trinidad here, 32 less murders. So they need to see who they can round up. Hey, fellas, all you behind quota. All you behind quota. We need a couple double murders, triple, quadruple murders to take place in the next week or two. Because all you behind quota. What going on with all you to talk about? But it's a pat the back on the shoulder and say, hey, you see, yes, it was over 500, but it was less than last year. All you chop it. All you make some calls there, fellas. All you need to pull back some skulls. Get with the program. All right? Yeah. Don't embarrass me. We need things to talk about at the end of the year. Come December 31st, right? We want to be on at least 710, 715. And if it is all you could take it up to about 750, we give you a bonus. Yeah, because this PNM government must look bad, and we must continue to see that under the PNM, crime always goes up and they always go in records. So we at 500, yes, that is thing to talk about. That thing to talk about. We need to highlight that. So that's the first thing that he talks about here, right? Talks about the Prime Minister jet off and some Passepartout and whoever. I don't know why it is that every time Rudal Munilal speaks, whether it is he speaks in the Parliament, he's hosting a press conference, he's speaking on a Monday night forum, wherever, he seems to find the need to be a clown, as Angie describes, a clown on rollerblades. He fancies himself to be, a comedian. He thinks he's funny, and he is not. There's nothing this man says that I find funny. And most of the time I find it to be offensive. But he wants to talk about the Prime Minister jet setting around the world. He going to Saudi Arabia and he going to London and somewhere else. Where is he live somewhere else, Munilal? Where is he somewhere else? And that they're going to file question in the Parliament and Freedom of Information to find out how much money it cost the Prime Minister to go on this trip. The Prime Minister has gone to Saudi Arabia for a conference comprising CARICOM leaders and leaders of Saudi Arabia. As we would have known within recent time, over the last couple of weeks or so, last month or so, we would have seen officials from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia come to Trinidad, not just to Trinidad, but to a couple of other Caribbean countries as well, met with the leaders of this country to see what they could do in terms of investment. In fact, I saw they would have met with Paria and members of the THA to also have discussions about perhaps investments in Tobago and the like. Now, they're having this conference in Saudi Arabia. But you know, if Dr. Rowley didn't go, you would have heard Duppy would have had something to say about that. Duppy would have had something to say. They have a CARICOM conference, Saudi CARICOM conference taking place, and the Prime Minister didn't go, and he sent Amy Brown, or he sent somebody else to represent it. They would have had a problem with that. But the hypocrisy in that is that you have Rudal Munilal talking about how much a trip going to cost, and they're going to file question and freedom of information request. Every time they file a freedom of information request, right, the public servants have to take time out of what is their normal duties to go and dig up to get information to satisfy this freedom of information request. They're inundated with freedom of information requests, I could tell you. And for the simplest of things, the most ridiculous of things, they're trying to find all kind of things to throw at this administration. So with respect to COVID, they're filing letters of administration. Now, letters of administration. Freedom of information requests on ministries and government, state enterprises, and so on. They want a detailed list of all the things that you spent money on for COVID, how much money you spent. They want copies of invoices to show you buy hand sanitizer, you put in one of the hand sanitizer machines, all of that. If you bought PPE equipment, copies. So you have to give them a whole written document about all the things you spend money on, and provide them with copies of the invoices too and all of these things, because they're trying to put together a bill. Well, the government say they spend this, and this is what the state enterprises and the ministries say they spend. So they add it up, right? Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm still waiting for my freedom of information request. They filing freedom of information requests and getting the information like that. Since June, I filed my freedom of information request on the Cabinet Secretariat, requesting information with respect to recusals, cabinet recusals that would have taken place between 2010 to 2015. All I wanted to know, how many ministers recused, what they recused for, so on. That was the 13th of June. It is now the 16th of November. I ain't get it yet. So the last request I got, which was on the 20th of October, they asked me for a 1-month extension to the 20th of November. I verily believe that come the 20th of November, so by next week, Tuesday or Friday, I will get a call from the messenger from the Cabinet Secretariat telling me he has a package for me where we can meet up. This has been the norm. This will probably be the 5th time I'm doing this for the year, since June. And it's just for me to sign. And it's basically the same letter, just the date change, telling me the same thing, that my request is actively being worked on and whatnot, and they're asking for another extension in order to compile the information. When I don't get it, maybe, who knows, maybe I might get in time for the 2025 general election. We'll see. But I hold out no hope of getting the answers that I'm looking for on the 20th of November. Yeah? But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Because the thing that confuses me, the UNC say, Kamala loves to say, but we had no recusals between 2010 to 2015. This is the reason why so we had no recusals. So you all have no recusals, and yet still, almost 6 months later, I still can't get the information. If there were no recusals, I should have gotten, within the first 30 days, a response that said there were no recusals between 2010 to 2015. No cabinet recusals. And this is the thing that upsets me. Because I mentioned to you all that a few months ago, probably close to a year ago or something, where there was a PNM meeting, public meeting. Faris Al-Rawi, in speaking at this meeting, decided to respond to the opposition's attack on himself and Seo Jong about the number of recusals and so on. Unfortunately, Mr. Al-Rawi would have chosen towards the end of his speaking time to address that, and he appeared that based on what he had, the little that he said, just as he was about to give us the statistics, the data with respect to how many recusals there were between 2010 to 2015, he got a piece of paper that said time up. Right? Time up. So he wasn't able to give us the information. He never came back with the information. I think he would have probably spoken at maybe 1 or 2 other meetings, and the issue was never raised. I reached out to him via WhatsApp to try and get the information. Still waiting. But anyway, we continue. The work has to be done. So Mr. Man Vex talking about how much they're going to file freedom of information request, and he showed that the Prime Minister will rack up about a bill of about $3 million on a trip to Saudi Arabia, which includes London and somewhere else, as he says. Right? $3 million he show of taxpayers' money, and there will be no benefit to be had Trinidad and Tobago. This is a far cry. I want to ask you. Newsday article dated Saturday, 6th October 2018, entitled No Benefit from Kamala's $15 million India Trip. Public Administration Minister Marlene McDonald has slammed opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar for saying the People's National Movement in its 3 years in office has not brought in any foreign direct investment or new income streams to Trinidad and Tobago. In a fiery contribution to the budget debate on Friday in the House of Representatives, McDonald reminded members of Persad-Bissessar's trip to India as Prime Minister shortly after the People's Partnership assumed office in 2010. She claimed the PP government had spent over $15 million during the trip, which did not redound to 1 cent of direct investment to Trinidad and Tobago. I heard the member of Paria say, we have not brought in 1 single cent of foreign direct investment. But I recall in either 2013 or 14, because I spoke about it in the budget, that there was a whole crew, Madam Speaker. They went off to India. They spent over $15 million, McDonald. $15 million. McDonald, who described Persad-Bissessar's budget reply as vacuous and meandering, claimed the trip involved personnel from more than 6 ministries. They went with a whole plane load. They went off to India. I remember well because I was pivotal in that debate. She further claimed Persad-Bissessar had said at the time that she engaged in over 200 meetings, but not 1 cent of foreign direct investment came back into this country. Check the Hansard. That is your record. And today we are being told and even scolded that we have not brought in any foreign direct investment. $15 million spent, right? Do you remember? And they had to, that included taking a whole jumbo jet out of service from Caribbean Airlines so that Mrs. Persad-Bissessar could carry her entire entourage. I think it was 40-something of them went on a jumbo jet that could have held 200 and something people. Yeah? For this one trip to India. $15 million. Munilal didn't say nothing. He had no concerns about that. Right? But here it is today, he's lamenting. And Prime Minister gone traveling all over the world like Passepartout. Going and spend a rack up about $3 million in terms of hotel accommodation, airfare, meals, per diem, and the like. And he's saying no benefit to Trinidad and Tobago. But as I keep telling you all, under them, less is more. So $3 million is more than $15 million. We got no benefit for that $15 million other than a stock photo of the Prime Minister, then Prime Minister bending down to kiss the foot of the Indian President. Yeah? $15 million it cost us taxpayers so that she could go to India to kiss the feet of the Indian President and go and find her roots. Yeah? Where it is her family came from. Those who came across on the Fatal Razak, she wanted to go back and find her relatives, her long-lost relatives in India. See where it is she came from. Her lineage. And you, taxpayer, pay for that. I wonder how much money they spent. You remember Vidawati had to go too, right? Because it's her roots as well. You, taxpayer, paid for Mrs. Persad-Bissessar's sister to go. Is Mrs. Rowley accompanying Dr. Rowley on this trip? In fact, has Mrs. Rowley ever accompanied Dr. Rowley on any of his trips? Not that I could recall. I just say it is noteworthy that Dr. Rowley is traveling commercial, right? So he jumped on a plane with hundreds of other people. He don't feel like, hey, I'm Asawati, so I need a whole jumbo jet for myself and my entourage, and I will carry a whole set of people and claim that we're going on a trade mission. He's flying commercial, so he will come off the plane when it lands in New York or Miami or wherever to take or London, whichever, I don't know which route they take. Might be the better route. Whenever they come off that plane, he will then go through customs and immigration, jump on another plane to go to Saudi Arabia, right? And then when time to come back, you go to the airport, you jump on a plane with hundreds of other people, go in transit wherever it is he has to go. With his security detail, I believe the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Energy, and the Minister of Agriculture, I believe, are also traveling with him. Not a whole cricket side, as was the case with Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, and a whole set of businessmen and so on who say, well, they're going to look for trade opportunities at the expense of taxpayers. 15 million. But Rudy have a problem. The kitten from Oropuch have a problem with, well, he say $3 million. So he say. But he's going to file a freedom of information request to get the answers. Right? He then goes on to talk about the cyber attack that took place on TSTT. But the person who spoke before him, the Princess of Princestown, Paria, he come to talk about Lisa Agard being fired, and that the Minister of Public Utilities must come clean as to the circumstances surrounding Ms. Agard's departure from TSTT, whether it was voluntary or if she was fired, if she was paid off, the balance of some $2 million or on her contract or something, so, or whether or not she's going to, we would see her coming back to sue the state for wrongful dismissal. All of a sudden, they care about Lisa Agard. All of a sudden, no, they want to jump to Lisa Agard's defense. But a few weeks ago, when their parliamentary colleague, the Douglas, on his Douglas Politics program, was maligning Lisa Agard, making certain claims, right? Allegations that Lisa Agard involved in some kind of relationship with Kamal Georges, and that she was responsible for Kamal leaving CNC3 and going to TSTT, and she gave Kamal the big work because she and Kamal in Ting. Where were they? Where was Munilal and Paria to come to Lisa Agard's defense when the nasty, filthy mouth colleague on Douglas Politics was saying the nastiest of things and making all kind of incendiary allegations against the woman and Kamal Georges? Where were they? We know they look at Douglas Politics. We know they watch Doubles and Coffee. They didn't care about Lisa Agard then. They didn't care about Lisa Agard's reputation. They weren't concerned about Lisa then and the impact that the things that their colleague was saying about Miss Agard, the impact that could have on the image of TSTT, that the CEO is in a relationship with a staff member and the staff member collecting X amount of pay because he and the CEO in thing. You see these hypocrites? But all of a sudden now we're concerned and we want to know, was Lisa Agard made a scapegoat? And Munilal, calling for the firing of the rest of the board. The entire board must go because we had a cyber attack and they didn't want to tell the population about this cyber attack. Yet still, years later, we're still waiting to hear how it is they got our cell phone numbers and email addresses to be sending out information with respect to, in their attempts to canvass for a general election. In the same press conference, he referenced Cambridge Analytica and said that was proven to be a lie. Well, his claim that was proven to be a lie is a damn lie, right? That was never proven to be any lie. Simply, the fact is that Mr. Wiley, who would have testified before the US Congress under oath, so if it is anything that he said that was untrue, it would have been very easy for the US officials to determine, right, and authorities to determine if there was anything Mr. Wiley said that was untrue. He would have been charged for perjury and could have made a jail and be made to pay hefty sums. So there was no good reason for Mr. Wiley to go to the US, to Washington, to testify before a congressional committee and lie about things that you have to incriminate yourself, say that you all did things that would that was of a criminal nature, to run the risk of being arrested and charged just because. So you just decide, well, I want fame. So fame which could probably land me in prison for a few years. Mr. Wiley is a fool. The man said he didn't want to come to Trinidad and Tobago because he feared for his life. A similar claim that was made by Vincent Nelson at the time when he was a state witness into, as we know, the issue of state briefs and allegations of kickback. And when it is the main attorney, former attorney general, who was accused of giving him these briefs and taking the kickbacks, the bribes and so on, he indicated, Mr. Nelson, that he was afraid to come to Trinidad and Tobago to testify. And Mr. Wiley offered the same. He didn't want to come to Trinidad and Tobago, and he did not want to cooperate with Trinidad and Tobago police, resulting in the then Commissioner of Police referring to him as the man with the orange hair or the pink hair or whatever it is. But he never gave any testimony to the police in Trinidad and Tobago. So for Monilal to come and say that this was Dr. Rowley's allegations with respect to Cambridge Analytica is not only Dr. Rowley. There is a whole documentary that was made by persons who were involved in Cambridge Analytica, talking about what they did here. Trinidad and Tobago was the test case, talking about the Do So campaign and all of that. Over 200 countries in the world, so they just decide to single out Trinidad and Tobago and lie on the government of Trinidad and Tobago. What's so special about all it? What was so special about all it that they would choose out of all the countries? Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, let me go. Spin the globe. Right, stop there. What country finger land on? Trinidad and Tobago? All right. Let me go and make up stories about Trinidad and Tobago. But you do a documentary that speaks about a lot of things that happened in Trinidad and Tobago around the very same time that all of these things was happening with people's information and emails and all of these different things. But this clown coming to tell you that was a lie. Up to now, not one of them from that party ever came and told us, this is how we got all the information. This is how you were able to get an email from the UNC. This is how you got text messages from the UNC. This is how you got WhatsApp messages from the UNC. Not one of them has been able to explain that to us. I got text messages. And I know that UNC, there is no way that the UNC would have gotten my number from me, because I have had no dealings with UNC. I will never have any dealings with UNC. Not now, not ever. But I want to know how will I get my number to be sending me messages. But Monilal can't talk about that. But he calling for the whole board to be fired. And this faceless, nameless board, so they decide to call the names of TSTT. As if, the fact of the matter is, all this thing, they're making this big hullabaloo about this cyber attack and so on and whatnot, which is a serious issue. But the reality is that the majority of TSTT's customers couldn't give a rat's tail. They don't care. Because as far as they're concerned, well, okay, you had a cyber attack, and the biggest issue we had was that it would have affected their service. They may not have been able to send WhatsApp messages. Their data would have been interrupted for a period of time. But otherwise, that they couldn't care. So some fella, I saw the Douglas decided to do a doubles and coffee yesterday, talking about some fella who goes by the name of Researcher, who called into the Underground Report, and he fancies himself to be this big sleuth, so he has information, he goes and he does research and he come back and talk, and he figure he's the brightest bulb in the whole chandelier. Talking about how on October 9th, you remember this happened on October 9th when the people were having problems with TSTT and your service, and you weren't able to send emails, and the system was down and all kind of thing. And all. So he decided to do a whole doubles and coffee for 7 minutes to talk about Researcher. Not to be confused with the Researcher who used to be on that station that I used to be on, right? This is a different Researcher. So he come to talk about that, do a whole thing, and who lie, and this one lying, and the whole board must go. I want to ask Monilal something. Since the whole board of and this is why sometimes it is difficult to get the best talent and the best people to serve on state boards. Because when you decide you want to give back to your country and to serve on a state board, you make yourself a target for these miscreants in that other party, to come and target you. Now fine, if all you want to call for the whole board of TSTT to go, no problem. As the opposition, it is your right so to do, to oppose everything that the government does. But to come and say you want to call out the names of all of the board members, nobody cares. Just say the board must go. But you decide to take it a step further. So Paria call out the names first, and then Monilal decide that he needs to double down, and he must also call out the names. In case you were in your fridge, or you joined the press conference later and you didn't hear when Barry called out the names of the members of the board, let me now call out the names of the members of the board. So you all could go and ridicule them, right? Go and look them up on Facebook and other social media platforms and malign them and say some of the nastiest things about them. And you expect that in that environment that people who are competent and capable would come forward to serve on these boards, to bring their expertise to help Trinidad and Tobago move forward, to help these state enterprises and these state companies to grow and to be profitable. No, they say, me, not me. I'm not interested. I am not interested, because when you see the nastiness from that party decide to come and target me and say all kind of things and to accuse me of being in a relationship with this one and in relationship with that one and doing all kind of underhand things. But when it is, you had the member of parliament now for Caroni Central, when he was fired from TSTT, right, for that whole piece of crookery, where a contract was given to a company to provide bucket trucks, and the company had no expertise in providing bucket trucks, and the trucks that they were able to secure was not, the specs were not in line with what TSTT needed. And in fact, the report would have shown that had they had TSTT procured those drugs, that the lives of their linesmen would have been in danger, right? Did Mr. Munila call for the board of TSTT to go? When millions, I think it was over $12 million or something, so was paid to this company. And when it is that the crookery was uncovered and they asked the company to pay back, they say, well, we can't do that now. We can't pay you back all one time. We'll pay you back in parts. Was that bill ever satisfied in full? Why you don't go and file a Freedom of Information request to find out whether or not this company that was awarded this contract by Arnold Ram, the member of parliament, the UNC member of parliament for Cuba Central, that piece of crookery that resulted in his firing from Public Utility Company number 2. Why Munilal don't go and file a Freedom of Information request into that to find out the granular details and to tell us, right, was that money paid back in full? You're not interested in that. You're interested in, you're concerned about $3 million being spent for the Prime Minister to go to Saudi Arabia and London and wherever to deal with the country's business, right? To bring back foreign direct. You're concerned about that. But $12 million or so spent for bucket trucks that the company never received, and the company that got the contract said, we can't pay it back in full. We had to give all in parts. You ain't concerned to find out about that. But you're concerned about taxpayers' money. And for the whole board to go, but nobody from that board, of which the member of parliament for Cuba North was the deputy chairman at the time of TSTT when this crookery took place. There was no call for he to go. There was no call for the chairman, was I believe Mr. Apple Snaggs at the time, for he to go either. And the rest of the TSTT board to go. No. A transaction which would have put the lives of TSTT workers in danger. There was no call for that board to go. That's all right. I'm going to give you another piece of, well, we talk again. Because sometimes you need to go back in the past. A little blast from the past. We go in retro to remind them of the hypocrisy, that things that took place under them, for which not just the board should have go, the whole damn government should have go, but nobody went anyway. Right? Let me remind him this morning. But as speaking of the issue of this cyber attack, so they're so desperate, grasping for straws, anything that they could throw at this government to say that, that the government is incompetent and so on. But look, we had just recently, probably a couple months ago in Las Vegas, where I think one of those big casinos, MGM or so, or one of them, had to pay $15 million in ransom to persons who had engaged in a cyber attack that shut down the casino, shut down even the hotels and so on. People weren't able to access the swipe card, weren't working. They go into the slot machines and you were getting error messages and all kind of thing. They lost over $100 million, right? And they had to pay $15 million US in ransom so that the cyber terrorists and they would undo what it is that they did to enable the casino to continue to run its operations. In the great United States of America, where you have some of the best tech people, and they weren't able to get persons with the requisite qualifications and expertise to be able to undo what the cyber terrorists did, resulting in them having to pay $15 million in ransom. Shut down the whole gambling industry across in Las Vegas there, right? Because other casinos were now concerned that they might have been next on the list. And some of them started to experience problems as well. But you want to figure, apparently Trinidad operating under Kamala's dome. Yeah, so we insulated from all of these things. And when it does happen, what we're supposed to do? Fire the board, fire the minister, fire the government, fire everybody. Fire everybody, that's the solution. But let me remind Munilal of something that happened in 2011, for which board should have been fired, minister should have been fired, everybody should have been fired. Let me remind him. Get this here. So, let me pull it up here. Right. So, 1 second, let me get this here. Is it on this one? When you have so many devices, huh? Let me see here. Look at this here. Yes. This is an article dated, I don't have the date on it here. But anyway, it's entitled, Rowley Speaks on Missing Millions. Opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley yesterday accused Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar of having no interest in trying to find out what happened at the National Energy Corporation, where $60 million was illegally siphoned via a First Citizens account. The matter was raised by Rowley at a political meeting in Malabar Arima on Thursday. On Friday, the National Energy Corporation confirmed $35 million had been recovered while the remainder was being held by the National Bank of Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. The NEC further stated the fraud squad, the Financial Intelligence Unit, and the Ministry of Energy were investigating, while one person has been convicted in Abu Dhabi. Rowley, speaking yesterday after a rally by groups concerned with the state's development plans for Shagaramas, said Persad-Bissessar not only did not care to find out what happened at the NEC, but she also appointed as finance minister the person who was in charge at both companies at the time of the incident. Former banker and current finance minister Larry Hawaii was chief executive officer of First Citizens and NEC chairman at the time. Rowley said the Prime Minister must be asked whether she knew of the incident. He had earlier stated Persad-Bissessar was pretending to have no knowledge of the issue. The matter of the $60 million from the NEC through First Citizens was disclosed through more emails which Rowley released on Thursday. He said yesterday he did not have to prove the validity of these emails, that being a job for the police. Asked his opinion and remarks last week by Persad-Bissessar that the PNM, who have boycotted the lower house since Rowley's suspension, should, like him, have their say. All right, so, right. Just, let me speak here. Let me see. Right, so that was the first article. Let me get the other one. Get this here. Yeah. So, right. 7th of May 2015. NEC missing millions, a cold case. More than 3 years after over $60 million disappeared from the account of state-owned National Energy Corporation. At State Bank, First Citizens, investigations into the matter have gone cold. Sources say any hope of recovering the remaining $25 million plus in taxpayers' money, which was siphoned from NEC in 2011, is gone. The issue was raised on Thursday night by opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley at a political meeting in Arima. The NEC, which is located at Brechin Castle, Point Lisas, which was incorporated in 1979 to monetize the country's natural gas resources and assist in construction of the port and marine infrastructure at Point Lisas Industrial Estate. It is also a subsidiary of the National Gas Company. Sources told the Express that on September 26, 2011, the NEC's Finance and Accounting Department discovered 3 unauthorized wire transfers from the company's US dollar account. The total amount of US $9,608,904.36. The account is held at First Citizens Point Lisas branch. The Express contacted FCB Deputy CEO of Banking Operations Jason Julian for comment 2 weeks ago, and in an email response on May 1st, he stated, First Citizens, like any other financial institution, is bound by laws of confidentiality related to clients' business, and in these circumstances, we are not at liberty to provide any answers to the questions that you have raised. The companies to which the payments were intended but never received are Central International Company Limited of the US, Andrew James Thomas Newman Inc. of Dubai, and Antigua and Barbuda law firm Steadroy Company and Benjamin. 58% was recovered April 30th, NEC, through its corporate communication and administration manager, Wendy Seow, told the Express, National Energy has been able to recover approximately 58% of the monies and has been working assiduously to recover the outstanding 42%. A calculation by the Express based on Seow's percentage figures means NEC has recovered 35 million on the outstanding balance of 25,410,000. Seow said internal investigations were conducted by the Internal Audit Department and so on. But also involved in this investigation was the FBI, Interpol, the FIU, and there was, I think, right. On October 11, 2011, the TNT Police Service requesting information as to the legitimacy of the above named companies. So it's a lengthy article. But since 2011, and look how early in their tenure, they came in May of 2010. 2011, $60 million, $10 million US went missing from the bank account of National Energy Corporation. At the time, Larry Hawaii was the CEO of First Citizens, and he was also the chairman of NEC. The two companies involved in this racket. 10 million US went missing. Public didn't know nothing. When did we find out? 4 years later, 2015. And how we found out? Because a whistleblower, a real whistleblower, not the kind, not Gary Griffith kind of whistleblower, the real guy, would have sent Dr. Rowley some email, or some email message was dropped off in his mailbox, as the case may be. And Dr. Rowley raised the issue and asked whether or not at this public meeting, if this was true. And it was only then that members of the government came out and said, yes, it was true. Right? Almost 4 years later, they kept this under wraps. 10 million US missing. NEC bank account. The man at the helm of both companies, FCB and NEC, Larry Hawaii. Yet still, in the face of that, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and the rest of her cabinet repose complete confidence in Mr. Hawaii, despite this whole incident, paying him just over $11 million to leave them to work to become the Minister of Finance, to put he in charge of the Treasury. Right? Put him in charge of the Treasury, the man who oversaw the two companies at the time when this racket took place. 10 million US of taxpayers' money. They like to talk about taxpayer money and taxpayer money. Well, that was taxpayers' money. That money belonged to the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago. Right? Went missing. You see this here. Yeah. So this money went missing. And you rewarded the man who was leading these two companies by, in the first place, $11 million, and then making him the Minister of Finance so that he could oversee not just two companies that handling taxpayers' money. Let us put him in charge of all taxpayers' money. So it's not enough that he was overseeing two companies responsible for taxpayers' money. Put him in charge. So he's corporation sole. So he in charge of all taxpayer money. All the money in the treasury, he in charge of. Right? Munilal didn't see nothing wrong with that. That was quite all right. Anybody from the board of FCB was fired? Did they call for the head of anybody in FCB? Did they call for the head of anybody in NEC? Did he come and call a press conference to give us the names of the board members of FCB at the time? Did they call a press conference to give us the names of the members of the board of NEC at the time and say that all of these people should go because after 4 years, you all said nothing? For 4 years, the population didn't know about this incident, which involved the FBI and Interpol, which would have involved money laundering on an international scale, which would have led to Trinidad and Tobago's reputation being impacted. That you had, and this is a fraud that spans several countries, not just Trinidad, Antigua and Barbuda, Abu Dhabi, the United States, Guyana, and they didn't think that this is something that the members of the population should have known about. We didn't need to know about that, and it was quite all right. They suspended 4 people, I think 4 employees of First Citizens, and a couple employees from NEC. Nobody was fired, I don't think, and these persons were suspended with pay pending the outcome of the investigation. I think they were subsequently reinstated. Munilal not interested to file a Freedom of Information request to find out if the remaining monies was returned to the coffers of Trinidad and Tobago. But he was a member of the cabinet when this happened. They knew. And here it is that Dr. Rowley was calling on Prasad Bisesa to see whether, and she's saying, well, I don't know nothing about it. But Kevin Ramnarayan, who was the Minister of Energy at the time, he knew about it, and in fact, and gave detailed information on the issue to members of the media. So how the hell something like that could happen? Your Minister of Energy knows that he didn't come to the cabinet and say, well, look, so is the case. And that the man who was in charge of both companies became the Minister of Finance. And nothing was wrong with that. That was perfectly, listen, that is what you call proper leadership, transformational leadership. But today, it had a cyber attack that had, over which there was no control. These things happen. It's not like Lisa Agard sit down and say, well, all right, well, we're going to get a cyber attack next week. What are we doing? What are we doing? Other companies in Trinidad and Tobago have also reported being victims of cyber attacks as well. Okay, you could fall Lisa Agard and say, well, maybe the communication was mishandled. Maybe there may have been some level of dishonesty, some attempt to, cover up and to protect the reputation of the company, because you don't want customers to lose confidence in the company. It's a state enterprise. And then next thing, So, not that I'm justifying the actions that were taken, but nevertheless, the fact of the matter is Lisa Agard is no longer with TSTT. She has been relieved of her duties as CEO. But you see, I have an issue when you want to bypass. So you're calling for the board to go, and you want this one to go and that one, and the minister must go. The minister must go for what? Does the Minister of Public Utilities have an office in TSTT's head office on Edward Street? That he is aware of the day-to-day operations of TSTT? That when Lisa Agard or whoever is the CEO get up in the morning, they send an email to the minister letting him know about what is happening in TSTT. During the course of the day, the minister receives text messages or emails. Well, from 8 to 9, this is what happened in TSTT. From 9 to 10, this is what happened. So he gets hourly emails and updates as for all of these state enterprises that fall under him. Is that how it works? The minister could only go by what it is he was told. Right? He would have been requested a report, inquiry, as the case may be, and whatever is reported to him is what he could report. He is not an auditor. He's not an investigator to go into TSTT and sit down in a room and say, bring documents. Let me go through it page by page to see what really happened here. But they call in for the minister to go. The CEO of TSTT makes more money than the minister. While the minister's base is about $51,000 a month, and the CEO of TSTT was earning over $250,000 a month, right? Based on what was reported by the leadership of the CWU, Communications Workers Union, right? That the CEO makes over $250,000 a month. While the line minister, their boss, making 6 times less. So you earning, as a CEO, you earning 6 times more than your boss. But you're only minister to go. These people are paid handsomely every month to manage and to run these companies. But we always quick to bypass and want to run to the minister first. Always the minister must go and the minister must go. So the people under them, what are they doing? What are they there for? Why are we paying them every month? Why is salary going to their accounts every month if they are not to be held accountable for the duties that they have? We ain't doing that. But the minister first is the minister must go and the prime minister must go. But Larry Hawaii didn't go. Well, he did. But where did he go? He got a promotion from being in charge of 2 state enterprises controlling public monies. They put him in charge of all public monies for presiding over that. But up to now, we don't know if all the money ever came back. And Munilal is not interested in filing a Freedom of Information request as to whether or not all the monies came back. Because you know what? That happened then, that was under them, that is a stain on them, let's just sweep that under the rug. We're not interested in talking about that. The only time they want to talk about 2010 to 2015 is to talk about we built 106 schools and we gave out 95,000 laptops and we pave road and we built a hospital, and we built an aquatic center, and we built a racket center, very good name, and we built a cycling velodrome. Yes, then we talk about that. But the billions that were lost in the energy sector because of incompetence on the part of the Minister of Energy, nobody was calling, they wasn't saying Kevin must go, Kevin must go. 8 companies lost over $10 billion in the space of 3 years. No calls for he to go. And but Hines must go, and Rowley must go, and Imbert must go. Dr. Rowley didn't pay Imbert $11 million to become the Minister of Finance. But all you have a problem with Imbert. The man who you all paid $11 million to become Minister of Finance, 4 years that he was there, ran deficit budgets, and his predecessor as well. Not 1 year did they have a budget surplus. Colm Imbert last year was able to accomplish that. Over $1 billion surplus. The first time in 14 years, a Minister of Finance has been able to realize a budget surplus. But all you find, Imbert must go. But the man who couldn't do it, the man who get $11.1 million, he couldn't do it. All you reward he for overseeing not just the loss of, but that piece of crookery, but it was also under his leadership that FCB would have advanced a loan or a couple loans totaling $430-something million to a consortium of businessmen to build a hotel in St. Anne's, right, in Cascade area there, without any collateral whatsoever. And it went belly up, and these men just walked away, and it cost them nothing. But your taxpayer money jump up in that. You, Mr. Taxpayer, who put in your little kakada in the bank every month trying to save, they ain't giving you no interest. If they give you any interest, they give you 26 cents and they take $15 in service charge. You ain't making no money. So your money just sit down there. They making money off it and you ain't getting nothing. But they get this consortium of businessmen over for almost $500 million to build a hotel that the most high-profile guest they ever saw was the Queen of England and the Duke of Edinburgh. And what happened after that? Today, under private management, different management, hotel is thriving. Every time you go there on a weekend, all these suffering, starving, hungry mouth Chinese who can't make ends meet. They can't pay the bills. They can't afford the property tax. They can't afford to send the children to school, can't buy a laptop. But you're seeing them there from Friday night. Car park full. They're spending the weekend if you see them by the pool. Liking themselves, get up Saturday morning and it's breakfast, and then they're out by the pool whole day. They go back upstairs to line, but they're suffering. They're suffering. They're struggling. They're on 2013 salaries. Under this wicked and evil P&M government, cost of living sky high, but that's not stopping me from going to the bricks. Yes, this weekend we bricks in, or this weekend we in Hyatt. Any weekend you want, go to the Hyatt and go up on the floor with the pool. Go out by the pool and see how much struggling, starving, hungry mouth Chinese it have in the pool. Go and see. But they're suffering, you know. Yes. Economy on the brink of collapse. But this clown want to call press conference to call for board to go and who must go and who must go. All you was supposed to go. Every last one of you all was supposed to go with that fiasco. 4 years all you hide that from the public. And if it is the whistleblower didn't share that information with Dr. Rowley, we would never have known. $789 million in housing cannot be found. This is the third or fourth press conference that this clown from Oropuch has hosted and has said not one word in his defense. He was the Minister of Housing for the entire 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days they were in office. $789 million in bricks and mortar cannot be found by an independent auditing firm. It was made known by the current minister in the House. And up to now, the man who was the Minister of Housing at that time has said nothing in his defense. He has not said a single word. Nobody from that administration has come out to say that is a lie. Has come out to say this is untrue, this is what it is, this is where the houses are, this is where the money went. $789 million. He wouldn't call, why you don't file a freedom of information request on that? You're concerned about $3 million might be spent for Dr. Rowley's trip, but we can't find $789 million in housing that was supposedly built under you. No freedom of information. You're posing no question in the parliament on that. You're not interested to file a question on that. Well, we, the members of the public, want to know. $180 million loan from, well, it had to be a loan that they took from NLCB, because as I said, every year NLCB probably puts out $1 billion plus in the coffers of the state. Because we have plenty of people in Trinidad who love to gamble, right? You're trying to tell me, so NLCB doesn't have this as a liability, well, as the case may be, or on the books, whatever it is. Come on. What really going on? Right? All they have it there as accounts receivable, or they're supposed to get back the money because the ministry is saying, we don't know if it was a loan to NLCB or if it was a loan from NLCB. So what's going on with that? $180 million? It's not $180,000. It's not $80. I want an expenditure or a transaction of that amount. You know, their book's supposed to show something. Accounts receivable. What's going on? What really going on? So is it that they cover the tracks so well with this transaction, it is difficult for even one of the big 4 accounting firms to be able to unearth what this transaction is? But Munilaal had nothing to say on that. Not one word. Just hush them out, and 9 days will pass, and the population will forget about it. Nobody ain't going to talk about it. I haven't seen. Where's the newspaper editorial calling on Munilaal and Kamla Prasad-Bisesa and Julian John to speak on this issue? Martin George had anything to say about it? What about Martin Daly, who liked to write articles? He wrote anything? You see Ralph Marad wrote any articles about this? Calling on the leader of the opposition, then Prime Minister, and any member of that former administration to tell us where the houses are? Any of them? Any one of them? All of them would like to write articles. Up to now, what doubles and coffee? We see any doubles and coffee on that issue? But if it was the PNM had been accused of that, oh boy. They would have gone and dig up all how. We would have get doubles and coffee night and day. We was getting Douglas politics night and day on this issue. They would have posed questions. They would have called for inquiry. They want a public inquiry into the matter. Because this is $789 million. They would have talked about that at every opportunity that they get. But all of a sudden, they get pipped. Plenty to say about AV drilling and the 100 million. But 789 million in fake house. Shh. The supporters, they had nothing to say. Nothing to say. Yeah. But Rowley must go and bring back who? Bring back Mrs. Prasad-Bisesa and bring back Munilaal. But all I want to know where that $789 million went. You're not interested in the $180 million transaction involving NLCB. Only interested in that. No. All you want to know about AV drilling. Yes, and then come to talk about Rowley only traveling all over the world, and we will hear about this $3 million or how much ever the trip cost. Well, they have plenty to say. How much the crime symposium earlier on this year cost in the Hyatt. We'll have plenty to say about that. Oh, $3 million spent, and what we get from that? $789 million in housing can't be found. And not one word from you hypocrites. Right? But that is the government in waiting. And things was better under Kamla. Yeah, thievery was better under Kamla too. But all ain't gonna talk about that. But Rowley must go, right? If it was Rowley and his administration accused that, we would not hear the end of it. Underground report would have been talking about that. Philip would have been talking about that. Gary would have talked about that. Everybody would have been talking about that constantly. Front page. Well, they are nothing to say. Look, bunch of blasted hypocrites. Hypocrisy, we bolt in that to all your chest. 7701763. You fooling me at all. Turn this thing off here. Right. This. Jenny, morning.
I'm like,
morning.
Wanted to also locked on, tune into facts and stubborn things. Dominic is still them smoke and mirror and them with Rudy and Munilaal and we see name and the robbers and all them.
Yes.
I want to know where Kamla Prasad-Bisesa is. She is the legal opposition leader of this country.
Yes.
Not Rudy and Munilaal. not Doglaya. Me want to hear nothing much to say, where is Kamla Prasad Bissessa? Is it true she lost 3 toes? Is it true she had a mild stroke? Is it true she wear a catheter? Because these things are important, we want to know about her health. Because when was Dr. Rowley, when he went to West Shore, wherever, somebody come out and talk about the procedure he comes to. If you only wear a scarf around your neck, they say he's sick. If you only fly the country and he was coughing, they say something wrong with him. When he get COVID, they was saying all kind of nasty thing about it. So you telling me no, Kamla Prasad, who is the opposition leader, will be allowed to go under the radar while them carrying on? I want to know what Kamla Prasad says. I want to. Ishmael beaten up himself. When he very well know there's a process to be followed by the PRCO Telefona Regional Corporation, where a show cause process had to go through the corporation, write him, and they gave him all the documents. And he had to 14 days to respond. So let's talk about they can't break it down. And of course they won't break it down unless the process is finished. And first they come out now and tell people, but 8 fellas rob somebody and they defecate all in the journey. You find like that and get traction. That's my opinion I give it. You come back now to say it had some robbery again. How it is so coincidental that all of a sudden, all these things happening in Bamboo, right? Mm-hmm. But when the police went and raid some car place in Bamboo and find thief car, we didn't hear nothing because they squeaky clean in Bamboo. But in Beetham and Sealot and Lavatel and Mova, we's criminal. But the history of Bamboo mustn't be spoken about. But you can talk about the history of Beetham, how it was shanty town, where it rat city and all kind of thing. But you want to talk about Bamboo, where the history of that is thief and criminality. And running public officers, agricultural officers, over the area by gunpoint. When they come to tell you, don't build there, because that is not residential land, it's swamp land, and it is good for agriculture. All they want to talk about, I want to talk about Beetham. And finally, Tobago. I am so embarrassed myself as a person who does the arts to see that Farley went by the colonial masters, dressed up in the colonial master clothes. And while they were there in this prestigious travel award ceremony, it have a fella looking like a spranger, dressed up all in black, with dribble running all along his throat, all his beard, and going, hey, hey. And that is what they present as devil, black devil in this country. That's not a character from Trinidad and Tobago. What an embarrassment and a shame. And then now to come the maxi drivers, talking about why they wasn't able to take the 300 people, tourists, around Tobago, is because some of them are 70s Adventists and some of them had engine trouble. That's why they must get a bronze medal. Tobago in a mess with Farley. And every time we go around to them tongue meeting and them, it's who getting up to sing praises. They're looking for husband, they're looking for wife, and he's the best thing after sliced bread. I tell you, Rubens syndrome to the highest. And it looks to me, my opinion, like a Jim Jones situation. All this adoration for a man and the executive who are doing nothing to really take Tobago to the next level. And if they're careful, Tobago will be worse than how it was in 1889. 1889 will be a tea party. So how far you go bring Tobago if they take stock of themselves. Dominic, you have a blessed morning, and all those who tune in have a blessed one.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Good morning, sir. I am good.
You know, one of the things that you pointed out this morning about that incident in 2011 where the FIU was involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at that time, he was a legal officer in the FIU.
Uh-huh.
The Honorable AD.
Yes.
Who was on a list of people whose social media posts must be monitored to see if they do anything to undermine the leader. She was there. So it's not passing strange that anytime they come and give information about the FIU in their press conferences to the sources, that is irrefutable.
Right.
But I wouldn't put a name, not to get in trouble, my brother, because we want this to continue for a long time.
Yes.
But you know who I'm speaking about.
I do.
Right. And you know, the continued lie of Cambridge Analytica's work was debunked and turned out to be untrue. The same Christopher Riley wrote a book called Mind F''TK.
Yes.
And in that book, he detailed how the Do So campaign with Mr. Percy was personally rolled out to the UNC as the strategy they would use to undermine PNM in 2010 and ensure that the urban youth, as they would like to call them, in public, but we know what they call them in private, and the so-called independent voters would swing to them and vote for them. And also, following on the success of what happened here, the Cambridge Analytica model was co-opted by Mr. Cummings for the Brexit campaign. And that model was transported to other places. For example, the 2016 US presidential election to shout about Hillary Clinton's emails and Benghazi and so on. Right? So I am saying that data breaches have occurred, and like you rightly said, I got those text messages on my phone. I said, "How you and see texting to ask me if I'm going to vote on how then?" And like yourself, anything yellow from them could never come close to my person. In fact, one time when they came around and my neighbor during the campaign, I let them know I'm a vote communist. The woman was aghast. I said, no, I'm a communist. I do believe in the Hamas ideology.
Right.
Yeah, and I believe in programs and work labor camps to re-educate people and so on. And Mao and Joseph Stalin, she quickly went past me and went on, yeah, that's how I deal with them. You know? But I am saying that the data breach in TSTT was egregious and it was handled poorly. But Dominic, I am saying the minister and the CEO, former, got information from the people in the know in terms of IT.
Right.
And I am saying traitors are on board. Right?
Yes.
Traitors are on board. And I am not saying that Ms. Agard is legally white or she didn't make a mistake. She made a mistake. But other entities who have been, I believe the Pentagon was hacked. I believe MI5 was hacked. The FBI was hacked in America. I didn't hear anybody call over Christopher Ray to get fired and so on, because there are things that as the face of an organization, you have no control over. Right? But suffice to say, it has been done. I'm sure they are going to go forward with their privileges motion against Mr. Gonzalez, where he deliberately misled Parliament. And we'll see how that will be. They boxed up with somebody, but I'm saying in that circumstance, where data breaches is a common thing, you know, I want people to pay attention to the movie Dumb Money, and they will understand how the manipulation of data and systems, what it can do economically. All right, brother? But
yes,
take care and have a good day, man.
Thank you, sir. You too. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. morning, damn darling.
Morning.
Oh, but I'm glad you're crazy. Crazy, crazy man. You own information, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never see wrongdoing. It is a cult, a political cult that belongs in the madhouse. Yellow always right, red always wrong. PNM thief, bring the proof that PNM stole. Right? They always talk in PNM school. They're talking about the police guys got killed in the police station. Remember the business case?
Mm-hmm.
Who got killed? On this whole watch. Right? Not once but twice, eh?
Yes.
Business case. You had 5 ministers of insecurity. If one person now I think got killed in the hospital, right?
Yes.
Nothing was said. A little girl was killed in Maloney by her dad. Okay, raped and killed. Who was the nation's mother? Keep Patient Bayram. That's my name for her. There was raped and murdered in Laventil. Nation's mother? Again, Keep Patient Bayram. You want to let police wrongdoing? Does the police have ESP? Are they psychics? I mean, you can't make me kill.
Yes.
So they call self-defense. They can't open the door. I'll tell you if I have. You cannot make me kill. Now we have great gorilla called Gary Griffith. PNP and Willard and Dina Roberts are awesome. They have the same brutish, insipid, crazy, asinine, senile mentality. Loose mentality. What is jealousy? They pretend to be and pretend to know. The other one is insane, in shit, in shish style. Where you coming from? They are pathetic at best. And people hear me well. Do not lose your time and vote for them. Will you pay me devil tune? While you beat us. Dom and people have a good day and I bless you all. I speak well over you all, PNM people, over Laventil, Eagles, over what they call the crime area. You're going to work in peace. You're going to work in freedom, in spiritual wealth, in financial wealth. You will be the waterfall. Let us stand, fight for a dream. And let nobody put labels on you. Let no one hurt you. Rebuke it and shut it. There's no perfect human race, right? And slavery happened. We can't forget that. But don't be a slave to people's labels on you. Let no one ill over you. Don't speak ill over yourself. You find what you're good at. Look in the mirror and bless yourself. Study your strength. Know your weaknesses. I'm saying this as a person of people. I love my nation. Right? But you speak well of you. Think the best of yourself. See yourself as the most precious and priceless diamonds that you are. And again, people do not quote you and see I'm begging, I'm pleading. Because we're going to go back to the dark ages if we would be them in. Curry always right, in yellow, PNM always wrong. But guess what? Blood is red. Have a good day, people. Bye-bye later.
Thank you. Yeah, and I see that Mr. Ishmael continues to construct his card booth, claiming that, well, I know it's off the roadway, so that makes it okay. Yeah, but what it being off the roadway is not the main issue, you know, is what happens after it's completed off the roadway. Because in order for it to be of use to you and the 100% of the residents and villagers of Bamboo, you require a barrier to prevent people from coming in and leaving unfettered. That is the point. And I don't understand why it is the corporation continues to allow this man to erect. Maybe they want to let him finish it and then take pleasure in destroying it. But he says no matter how much time they destroy it, he's going to build it back. And he continues to mock the TPRC, talking about he's putting in a jacuzzi and he puts in a big screen TV and all kind of, and the like, right? Why are they allowing this man to continue to put up this thing? But we'll see how that goes. There must be absolutely no compromise where that is concerned. Hello, good morning.
Yes, morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Dominic, for real that Ministerial really you not the question? Well, I don't really put propaganda, so probably it's a very thing. I'm not going to find the community. When you know that things and the
You're sounding a little muffled, caller.
I don't know how to open it, but okay. You hear me better now?
Much better.
All right. No, I was saying, would I already say Cambridge Analytica is a lie?
Yes.
All right. There's something that's wrong with this man brain. And you know, he's the one pushing to be the political leader and the opposition leader.
Yes.
If you really watch politics at the UNC right now, this is what's happening. So in other words, what I'm saying here, no, you're going to move Kamala Prasad because Kamala Prasad is going past the time and thing, and there's no way she can really hide it.
Yeah.
And even though the way nature is, it's coming up on she quick. Soon she would not be able to function in the office. So the UNC will have to choose another leader. And to put Rudal Mudila, who is asking all these other questions, but when you look at him, he can't answer to what happened in the courts where contractors was claiming for millions and millions of dollars and had to settle for penance, you know. And settle for penance, they didn't even bother to go through the trial. Men who went through and to the end, the judge, in the comments of the judge, with the ruling of the judge, it was ridiculousness happening under the EMBD that he headed. On top of that, his name calling, because when them trying to draw the point on how the state owe them the money, they mentioned the minister name. So it tells us that the court, the trial, the end of the trial, everything, that people have lost millions of dollars that they claim for. And you have to ask the question, what was going on under the ministry headed by Rudal Modilal and Kamala Prasad Bises's cabinet? Because if the minister is going to ask somebody to put in his ministry to spend and everything, and go through a cabinet and a cabinet notes and those things.
Yes.
So Rudal Modilal is asking this question, and you know, when you look at it, you know, he's right in doing so, even though that some of the questions he asking is a waste of time and misled. You know, because the information is already out there. But he has no authority to ask any questions at this time until he clears his name. As a matter of fact, Kamala Prasad put him back for representation. And you know what's sad about this? You know, the people of his constituency voted for this man overwhelmingly, knowing that the information is right in their faces, that this was nothing that people make up. But it shows the electorate of this country that how the UNC has massaged and molded a system that is not good for the country. Hence the reason, like fellas like Inchan Mishmel and them could publicly make all kind of things, take things. And from the time you mention something about him and he don't like it, it's a pre-action protocol that they gonna get. Well, I mean, he reached out so far as to muzzle Coco.
Yes.
It shows sad it is. Like, I am waiting for the outcome of that lawsuit he put on Coco to hear what they will rule on it. But I tell you, There's no way I think he could muzzle Calypsonians. Once Calypsonians and them stay within a certain line, they have a little leeway. Other than me and you, they have Calypsonians and they will have a leeway that they know they will think they will get a slap on the wrist or whatever. But I don't see anything so thing about what Coco sang compared to what he's saying about people here. He is actually stereotyping people in one way, making people feel that if you have a certain race and thing, you're allowed to squat, you're allowed to do all kind of thing, you're allowed to be lawless. And as soon as his committee tries to do something to better his committee, the government is attacking him. That is what he's telling us and the outside world. He's not using the law and the written law. He wants to break the written law with impunity. But I want to leave with this one. I listened to his program many times. Something I see he did and I didn't like is when he called the Minister of Works, Suraj Ratan Rambachan, and asked him publicly on air if his child is to bring home an African person, if he'll accept. And that wasn't called for at the moment at time, and he should have never done that. But he did that to pressure them to get the lands for his committee / he just like Shamana the friend, a committee of one that the state give lands to. I want the state to revisit that, you know. That land supposed to be handed over to the Asha, somebody like that. Not Inshan Ishmael. Inshan Ishmael is supposed to hand over every document and everything to the governing body for his committee. Something is really wrong with that. I think I am calling on the AG to look at the documents into that and see whether or not we can do any changes to that. We have to answer for that.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Deborah is saying Mooney is not pushing. He believes that he is the heir apparent. Remember, Kamala had anointed him at one time to be her successor. And then I think after he challenged her in 2015, when they lost the general election, he may have fell out of favor. But if there's one thing that loss reminded him he's not really a lion. He's only a lion when he's within the confines of the constituency of Oropuch East. But as soon as he leaves, he's a kitten, a pussycat. And he ain't fooling nobody. Sean Charles says, just jumping on to say Merry Christmas and blessings to all. They have me busy, but always listening. Thank you so much, Sean. Anon says plenty of them claim poverty, but traveling like it's 1999. Vex about virus restrictions too. So true. I tell you, go to the airport any point in time, especially in the morning time, those early flights, and you will see airport ram cram. And if you see the big suitcases they're traveling with, but they're suffering. And when they come back, they need 2 and 3 trolleys. But they're suffering. They are money. Yeah. Really killing them. Thanksgiving, Black Friday sale. Wait and you will see. Go to the what? Probably sometime next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and around the 27th, the 28th, when they're coming back home, and you will see. Brian, morning.
Morning to you, Dominic.
Morning.
How are you?
I am good, and yourself?
Not too bad at all. Good morning to your listeners and callers. Dominic, whatever we see ain't going to change because you see they have bought out the print media. But let's not talk about social media.
Yes.
Because there are many things, many questions we have asked. Most all, if not all of the callers have asked about monies that have gone missing. Monies not really missing, but monies that have been paid out for certain works that have been done, and we cannot see the work. And it doesn't worry people apparently. I mean, 789 plus 180, almost $1 billion just disappear. And not only that, an independent auditor says they cannot find the brick and mortar associated with this money. And it doesn't seem to rattle anybody. $700 million in live sport given out. One man gets 34 million and it doesn't seem to rattle anybody. Buildings, as you have rightly said, that you went looking for in Paria and all over the place, 12th Street. All of these things, and it doesn't seem to rattle anybody. We go ahead as normal. We going to Tobago. We having a good time. We fetting everything good, except when PNM had the Prime Minister had to travel, and we know how he travels. He has told us only if he lying. We know, but you think people really care? You know why, Dominic? Because it's not coming out of their pocket. But you know they're complaining about $81 a month. Dominic, $81 a month for their own land to protect them own selves from people going in and moving out papers and switching papers and doctoring documents and taking their property. They're complaining about that, Dominic.
Yes.
$81 a month. Dominic, when you leave home to go online and you come back next day, you ask, well, how much money you spend? I ain't sure. I'll have a good time though. And when you check the wallet, it's empty. It went with about $300-400, maybe $1,000, but it's empty. One night. But $81 a month, people complaining. Light bill to see you could see, so you could watch your cable TV and have your air condition running. People complaining. You know why? Because it's coming out their pocket. But $789 million. All the checks that were written in the last 3 months before the election of 2015 and given out for friends who were supposed to be paving agricultural roads that we can't find up to today. Checks that the Honorable Minister of Energy spoke about, Stuart Young, 40 million. When that individual went to the Minister of Finance to ask for that $500 million, he said, but they were even broke in 43 months, Dominic. So he went and he took demand loans, and you know what a demand loan is? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to pay back.
Yep.
And give out free sheet. Anybody talking about that, Dominic? Up to today, 8 years down the road, nobody arrested. No, where's the inquiries into all of these things? They didn't want Justice Abu to say anything before the 2020 election. But he spoke and he called names and said there's an inquiry that is required here. And what since then? But you have a DPP talking about he ain't like this building and he ain't like that building and he ain't like that. And you don't have enough space. And what's happening in the country?
But Brian, I don't know if you read with respect to that DPP issue, right? That it was since 2014 the DPP had expressed satisfaction with that building.
Concerns, yes.
2014. Before,
yes.
Yeah.
Since 2014, he's looking for a space. And he can't find none in the whole of Trinidad.
But that very building.
The DPP tell us what it is you're really and truly looking for.
But they
you want a new building?
But
we continue to look for a building for you.
But the thing is, they identified that building in 2014, so it was under the PP. Says that they identified that building, but want to blame the PNM.
Exactly, and not only that, Dominic, you wanted bulletproof glass that cost millions of dollars. Dominic, when I know the building,
Yes.
I know that building because when I come in town and I know that pavement high up the road, and the people that want to put there for what reason, I don't know. I'm still trying to understand. And these are the things that have me concerned, but it don't appear to be concerned for other people. Dominic, 300 tourists come to Trinidad and Tobago. Hear my words, you know. Hear my words. These are my words. Come to Trinidad and Tobago and can't get a bus. After a month of planning and a month of knowing that this celebrity Soweto coming to Tobago, coming to my country, Dominic, paying money to come halfway around the world to the third best island in the world, tourist island in the world, according to the leader, the phenomenal leader. Can't get a bus, Dominic, to go and watch Argyle Falls, to take a little bath in the little waterfall. Can't go nowhere. They get steel pad, they get all kind of things. And as soon as they finish there, according to Naka, they have to stumble back to the boat. And that is okay. If that was in Trinidad, Randall Mitchell might have been looking for a walk because he might not sleep because they are having him up and down in the news. But that is okay. But Munila looking for, he assuming is $3 million spending. He ain't even know how much spending, but he wants to know how much to spend for the Prime Minister to go to a CARICOM Saudi Arabian summit. You don't know, the man was here in Saudi Arabia, yet you're talking. And these are some of the things that bother me. 300 people, Dominic, 300. You gallivanting and sorting with Tasha Boris, having a good time. You didn't come back after the thing in England. Because that was from the 6 to the 8. What day you come back? You come back at the show concern and say, well, hey, we have everything on board. I had to listen to a fellow named Claude Williams want to blame Mr. Cavallo for the incident in Tobago. And when you're responsible for all of the buses and all of your members, I want to blame it on what do you call it, Sunday Adventist Day, Sabbath. So then, if it was 69 more boats to come, with thousands and thousands of more people, and they come on a Saturday, Dominic, what are you going to do? What are you going to say?
Well, I saw it next week. Next week, it's 800 of them coming.
Dominic, you and I have traveled, and many of your listeners who listening and callers have traveled, Dominic. Dominic, I went to Puerto Rico and I saw one of those carnivals with 10,000 people like ants coming off the boat. Dominic, if it happens in Tobago, what we going to do? If we can handle 300, Dominic, you can handle 1,000. You can handle 2,000. You can handle 4,000, 5,000. Where do we go? Listen to steel pan, and then stumble back on the boat, and that is it. Dominic, that's what we talk. Tobago dependent on tourism to survive, and they want autonomy, and they want to leave we do your business.
Yes.
How are they going to survive, Dominic? We just get them money just so and don't say nothing? Here, take money, okay, here, take more now, no problem. And no answers, nothing at all. This is how we're supposed to exist. And then they come in and they're questioning this government about they want to know about every single thing. But nothing on Tobago. That is even making news, Dominic, more than a day. I have to ask these questions, Dominic. This is not small money. This is not little things. This is big things. And what are we to say? Just continue existing and say, hey, you are done right on the carnival. Oh, you hear that thing? You hear that kind of boy? It's bad, eh? I can't wait for next year. And so we go on, Dominic. Christmas coming, and we just continue to exist.
Yes.
And money just disappearing in and out of office. People who have questions to answer before the matters can't finish. What is DPP doing? Still looking for place to live? I mean, not asking these questions, Dominic. Just left it so and exist. There's Trinidad and Tobago, and I have people walking around the Queen's Park Savannah and talking about Palestine and Israel. Far removed from us. If you ask them to show them that place on a map, Palestine on a map, they can't show you. But right in the Caribbean, look what's going on in Haiti. Anybody concerned? Look at right here in Trinidad, people getting gunned down like nothing. Right in front of the police station. Anybody concerned? But we just talk about it today and we move on. And then the UNC make it a big issue, like if they call it, it's okay. But guns coming in like nothing. And leave them alone. And we have to continue going on like this? Really? Not me. I will repeat it. I will talk about it ad nauseum. Who don't want to listen, take off your radio, take off your computer, take off your TV. I no business. I talking about it. Because it's how people beginning to do things in this country, and we have to use the law to get them to stop when they don't care about the law. We have to continue talking about it, Dominic. We will not stop. I will not stop.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I hope people are listening and taking copious notes, because 2025, one day out of your life, will be very, very important for the future of our country. And we must know what we're doing, and we must be careful, we must be sober. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
And as Jenny always keeps asking every time she speaks, where is the opposition leader? You're talking, but nobody has seen you. It's a shame, Dominic. Have a good day.
You too, sir. See here. We have here. Right. So Marcel Collins says, good morning from Tobago, listening and locked on. Deborah says, why worry? Brian left them. They no one can do anything and everything. Laverne says, Brian, go to the head of the class. Yes, FCB shares. Did the finance minister buy? That's the question. Eunice Jack. And that was one of the other ways that they would have financed their expenditures during 2010 to 2015. We're talking about we didn't raise no new taxes, and yet still we were able to give the population this, that, the other, and the next. Of course, you all didn't raise taxes, but you were selling state assets. When you all sold shares in FCB, right? Where did that money go? What was that money used to do? What was that money used to do? When I wouldn't file a Freedom of Information request into that to tell us. No, but you want to know how much money Dr. Rowley is spending to go on a trip. He should go on the Facebook page of Irfan Ali, the president of Ghana, and see. This man traveling more than, well, I tell you. Let me see. Let me see if I could pull him up here, boy. Right. Yep, just as I thought. So you have photos here of his arrival in Riyadh. President Irfan Ali has arrived in Riyadh. This was 21 hours ago for the first CARICOM Saudi Arabia summit, slated for tomorrow. 14 hours ago, President Irfan Ali met with Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and Climate Envoy. President Ali is leading Ghana's delegation to the first CARICOM Saudi Arabia summit, scheduled for tomorrow. Rather than they look to find out what the summit is about and share information with the people as to what. So you have a problem with Dr. Rowley going. But the rest of the CARICOM leadership also going. You have no problem with them going. You have no problem with them going. Anybody in their country wondering, well, how much money is spending? for their leaders to go to this first Saudi Arabia CARICOM summit to see what benefits Trinidad and Tobago could get from it? Everything Dr. Rowley do, well, you have a problem with it. Just now, you might want to know what color jockey shorts you were into. Bunch of jokers, yes? Let me see here. Joycelyn says they're not coming back. Mother Tunapuna chant lyrics. Mother always says that they're not coming back. See. I'm seeing here, someone says this African brother, my PNM party card, and I burn my PNM party card and PNM close. All right. That's your choice, sir, if you so wish. But what is the alternative? See, some of us want to take chin up listening to Mutt and Jeff, right? On an afternoon. Mutt and Jeff have all the answers to every problem that we have in Trinidad and Tobago, and talking about the money. And, I will talk about Mutt and Jeff on another day. I'm doing some research with respect to, because I heard them the other day talking about the minimum wage, right? And the friend from Brooklyn who loves to talk about minimum wage and what it could buy. And I'm doing some research on minimum wage throughout the Caribbean. And what I've seen so far, I'm almost complete, is that Trinidad and Tobago has one of the highest minimum wages in the Caribbean. But don't tell them that. Don't tell Mutt and Jeff that. They may want to hear that. Right? Talking about $7.50 an hour and thing in the US and $17. I mean, chalk and cheese. I'm looking at every night. I look at either WSVN or Channel 7 News and so on, with Florida News to see what's happening over there. And I'm seeing they're doing stories of people who struggling. Their country have all the money, but they're struggling. Living in one-room apartment, studio apartments, leaking, pressure from the landlord. People can't afford to some of them to buy food. People living in tents. I've not seen any Trinidadians living in any tent on the pavement. Yeah, you had a few vagrants and so on, but I mean citizens who have paid taxes for years and so on. Normal citizens who write in the head, who struggling and living in tent, living in trailer parks and so on. But they want to come and tell you about minimum wage and whatnot. I keep making the point before I go. What this government has to deal with and face it is like a parent who working for a certain salary. And the parent could only afford certain things based on the salary. And they're telling the children, look, this is what my salary is. This is what we could afford. Right? I can't give you, yes, the neighbor child probably have a PS5. Yes, the neighbor probably driving a brand new whatever it is, but we can't afford that. Right? The neighbor salary is the neighbor salary. We can't afford that right now. And the child don't want to hear. You could tell them what they want, what you want. They don't want to hear that. Right? All they know, they used to get it before, and now they ain't getting it perhaps because maybe you got a new job. Maybe it was a two-income household before, and maybe one person lost their job, whatever it is. But the parent is saying, look, this we can't afford all of these things right now. This is what we can afford, and we're doing the best. And the child don't want to hear. And that is what Trinidad and Tobago is the government telling you all. Yes, you all want this. Yes, you want that. But all of these things cost money. Where is the revenue coming from? These are our revenue streams. We have money from oil and gas. Even though those revenues are down, we're not producing as much gas as we used to, as much oil as we used to. Right now, the country's oil production is about 60-something thousand barrels a day. So much. We have Guyana. ExxonMobil just started another production project there. So Guyana is producing about 620,000 barrels of oil per day. We're producing 60-something thousand because we have mature acreage and we need to find new oil and new gas. And unless we do that, whatever money we get in from that is what we have to work with. So collecting money is from other places, but the government is saying if we're making this amount of money and you all want so many things, you want us to provide you with free education, free healthcare, you want us to provide the poor with food card, public assistance, book grant, all of these different things. You want us to pave road, build school, build hospital, build police station, build all of these things costing money. The government's expenditure, when the government go to the hardware, they order whatever it is for building and so on, and to bring in material, we feel they got a special price because it's the government. And the government is saying, this is what we have now. If the country's economic position improves, if we make more revenue, then we could spend it on different areas to benefit the citizens. They don't want to hear that. You know why? Because under Kamla, we was getting this. And under Kamla, we was getting that. Because Kamla realized it was easy to bribe the population. But the population didn't care where the money was coming from, because that is not their responsibility. So wherever the government gets it, we don't care. So if they're selling state assets to do it, we don't care. If it is they're driving up the deficit or the overdraft on the exchequer account from the highest it had been before at about 10 billion to 33 billion, and you have to incur a certain interest, we don't care about that. Just make it happen. Find the money from wherever. And you know what? Kick the responsibility down the road to the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, because by the time they come into leadership, we're almost on the way out, if we ain't out already. So that is their problem to deal with. But we live in for the now, we want to enjoy now. And that is the problem. We ain't want to hear, you know. So when we're telling all the children, you can't afford this and you can't afford that because your salary limited, your children should go and draw a placard and go out in the front yard or go on your road and start a protest and tell the neighborhood that you're not providing for them. And you wish you're fed up by your parents and you hate your parents and say, mommy must go and daddy must go. And let me see what it is you all would do. That's what your children should do. Mommy must go and daddy must go. And compare what the next door neighbor doing. And that making sense. You all want to take your information from people who clueless, who have no idea what it is they're talking about, right? But they come in every evening to educate and inform. Need to educate and inform the blasted self. Don't know what the hell going on. Only giving you a set of misinformation, wrong information. But you know what? That's sounding nice to you all. Because that is what you set your reader on. To listen to garbage because it satisfies the way you vex with the government. But you ain't studying how the government, all these things you want them to do, where the income coming from. But you're complaining when they're running budget deficit. So where the money come from? We have a magic wand. But that's the problem. But anyway, Brian.
Dominic, before you go.
Yes, sir.
I want to remind this country, those who are listening, I should say. And I think you must do it as well. Because I recall I listened to you very carefully when you were calling out certain figures. And I still have some of it written down.
Mm-hmm.
About the loans that were taken under the UNC that sent up the overdraft to $53 billion.
Yes.
The $14 to $16 billion was just taken out of NGC's account.
Mm-hmm.
That they could not pay, and they were always accustomed paying their workers, their employees, dividends every Christmas. That they could not pay.
Mm-hmm.
About the $6 billion. Because you see, they like to say that they signed off on negotiation between 2010 and 2015, but they never gave any money.
Mm-hmm.
They signed off on the 14% or whatever it is, but they never. When this government came in, government had to find $6 billion to pay out the public servants and others. $6 billion, and this does not include the hospital that we started to pay for that. They say the bill that Kamala rushed to push his name on. It started the bill paid back from 2018. People can't remember that the aluminum smelter plant that we were supposed to have gotten with the loan we took from China that we still have to be still negotiating downward.
Yes.
That we still pay. All these things we still paying for. The $5 billion in loans that were taken out under the UNC, plus whatever it is they borrowed to build, we still pay for that.
Yes. I know what happened there, Brian. I had to call me back. Jenny.
because I'll use every forum that I have to ask Leroy Baptiste this question, because it's important. As I heard Brian spoke about, the government had to borrow money, was to pay the 14% that the PPUNC would have offered public officers to the period 11-13. I want to ask you, Baptiste, come out on the radio and all the TV station they went last time when we would have gone in front of the PSA and tell public officers, PSA members, whether or not for the period 2014, 15, and 16, the Minister of Finance called Elmbert offered the PSA, Public Services Association. Watson Solomon Troop was the president still. He, Baptiste, was the advisor and consultant to Watson Solomon Troop, getting $16,000 a month. I want to ask you, Baptiste, and I'm saying it very slowly, whether or not it was true that Embert offered public officers 9% for the period 14-16 and a $10,000 tax-free across the board as a back pay for all public officers. And whether or not he, Leroy Baptiste, as the consultant advisor to Duke, advised Duke not to take it. It's important we know that, because if what I'm asking is true, Leroy Baptiste is the reason why we are about 10 years now still working on 2013 salaries and have 2 going to 3 outstanding negotiating period, and is asking public officers to stick with him, like he talk, allegedly, that 2025 is an election year, so that the government will be inclined to give more than 4% for the period 2014-16, 17-19, not thinking that we lose in 2022 and 23-25. So we must sit on 2013 salary till 2025, saying it's an election year, and the government will give more than 4% for the period 2014-16 and 17-19. Dominic, you into finance. Does that make any sense? When we could settle for the 4% for the period 14-16, 17-19, go back in front of the CPO for the period 2022 and 23-25, which is an election year, wouldn't the government be more inclined to settle for a better percentage for 2022 and 23-25 than for 6 years that gone so long? Where, if the question I'm asking is true, that Leroy Baptiste have us in the position we're in, because we cannot be on 2016 salaries at the 9% while we figure out 17-19 and all the other negotiating periods. I want to ask him again, please come out and tell the public what Jennifer Cedric is asking is a fantasy and is a myth. Because for not to do so, people will be watching you, Leroy Baptiste, and saying probably Cedric, who she's saying, has some truth. And before I go, let us remember that in 2019, Watson Solomon Troop made a live, and he said that the Minister of Finance offered the public officers a settlement. But you're looking at it right now because it was around Christmas. You look at it in 2020, and we never heard what it is. So based on that, I'm kind of inclined to believe what I'm asking may be true, but I'm asking the questions. I want Leroy Baptiste to answer me. Thank you, Dominic. Have a blessing.
Thanks, Jen. They're saying, Jenny, I remember that it was Christmas and Duke said he ain't ready to look at it. Yeah, I recall that as well. Mr. Hunt is saying, I want my money, I don't like my money, sleep out. Just remember these words from the tax-free PNM Prime Minister Keith Rowley, but ignoring public servant back pay. Only getting back pain and hardship under the PNM government, suffering poverty financially. Well, all right, so let me just correct you with one thing there. First of all, Mr. Hunt, I don't know where you get it that the Prime Minister is tax-free. And this is another one of the myths that you would like to put out there. All members of parliament pay tax. The only tax exemption they have is on the purchase of a vehicle every 2 years. That is the only tax exemption they get. When they get their salary at the end of the month, it is minus tax. The Prime Minister pays 25% income tax every month. He is on record as having said that he pays hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes every year, as does his ministers. So I don't know where you all get it from that members of parliament and government and so on don't pay taxes. They pay tax. The only exemption, I repeat, tax exemption they get is on the purchase of a vehicle for them to do their work as members of parliament. When it is they need to go around their constituency to visit, as they should be doing, to visit their constituents and so on, they need a vehicle to do that. And they get a special exemption for that. Everything else, they pay taxes on. All right? So I don't know if you're listening to Mutt and Jeff, and they're telling you all that parliamentarians and ministers don't pay taxes, that is absolutely untrue. And if you want to find out, simply go and pull up the 98th report of the Salaries Review Commission, and you can see on that document what the compensation is for all senior public servants, how much money they make, what their exemptions are, and the like. The only public servants who do not pay income tax is the President of the Republic and High Court judges, right? Those are the two entities that are exempt from paying income tax. Everybody else pays income tax. All right? He's saying he wants Penelope Beckles for Prime Minister. Well, all right. Well, if you are a member of the PNM and you have a card, you're a card-holding member. When the time comes for us to elect a new political leader, whenever Dr. Rowley steps down, you're more than welcome to vote for Mrs. Beckles Robinson if she decides to throw her hat in the ring. All right? But it's not just a matter of Mrs. Beckles Robinson has to decide she wants to contest the position, and it will be open to every and anybody who feels that they have what it takes to be the political leader of the PNM. That's how it works in the PNM. So as I want this person, I want that person. I mean, talking about poverty and hardship under the PNM. You all need to stop buying into that rhetoric. The government cannot control the price, the cost of living. The government cannot tell groceries what price to charge for their goods. If you, Mr. Hunt, open a grocery and you want to charge your prices, would you like for the government to put a law in place telling you you could only charge this amount for this and this amount for that? When people go into business to make a profit, if the state, we are not a communist state and we are not a socialist state. This is not Cuba. The government cannot come and tell you could only own one house and own one car and only make certain amounts of money. We live in the free market system. So when a person opens a business, it is to make profit. And if the state wishes to intervene to tell them how much profit they could make and what they could charge for their goods and services, then they will simply shut down their business. As consumers, you have the right. If you go to grocery A and you find their prices are too high, you go to another grocery. And Trinidad, there is no shortage of groceries in Trinidad and Tobago. You could go anywhere and look for where the prices are the best. Nobody's forcing you to go to Massey. Nobody's forcing you to go to a food basket or extra foods. You could go to one of these smaller groceries where things may be cheaper. Passad, the Food King, low cost, Annan, low cost, wherever. And you could shop there. But the government cannot tell private sector what prices to charge. It does not work that way. Because when a man go to the bank and you don't know what interest rate he paying on his loan, the government can tell. They used to have the rent assessment board and so on, but I think since under the PP that was done away with, as the case may be. I don't think it's active. But even so, there's only so much that the state could do, because when a man take a mortgage to build an apartment building, he had to pay, if mortgage rates goes up and he has to pay more on his mortgage, and he feels he needs to increase his rent, well then simple, all you have to do is to move out and go somewhere where the rent cheaper. That's all. But you all expect the government to come and tell private sector, no, you could only charge this and you could only charge that. It does not work that way. So when we complain about the government, the Prime Minister has told you all want more than 4%. He would be happy to give it if the government could afford it. But the government cannot afford it because the amount of things that you all want the government to do. Prime Minister is saying, well, all right, you all want us to give you higher salary? Well, then we need to cut the subsidy. Because if we're spending $3 and $4 billion a year on subsidy, that is money that we can pay to public servants. But if you all don't want us to increase the price of fuel and you want us to maintain the subsidy, then when we tell you we're spending $50 billion for the year or $54 billion, understand that $4 billion out of that going to pay subsidy so you all can pay less money at the pump. So you're not going to get it in your pay packet, but you're going to benefit from going to the gas station. But if you want to get it in your pay packet so you could decide what you want to spend it on, because you say, well, me, I don't have no car, so I want it in pay. Fine. Well, then no problem. We will have to reduce the subsidy on fuel, and that money that we free up, we could now say, well, give it to the public servants in terms of higher salary. But then we want, when you go to the hospital, you're paying $432 a year in health surcharge. But you want the best healthcare, you must be in an air-conditioned room. You don't want to set up people around you. You want when they discharge you from the hospital, you must be able to go to the dispensary with your prescription and get your medication. And when the medication finishes, you must be able to go back to the hospital with the prescription again and get it refilled. And it costing you nothing, the state paying for it. CDAP, right? Chronic Disease Assistance Program. You're drinking a set of soft drink, you get diabetes. You're eating a set of salty food, you get high blood pressure, right? When you get sick, the government telling you, well, all right, come and fill out the CDAP form and go to any pharmacy and they will give you the drugs and we will pay for it. All of these things that we want. You want to be making a set of children that you can't mind, and then you want to go to social welfare and the government must mind the children for you, right? Because Kamala telling you, make child and we go give you $500 a month. As if that could help anybody. How much children, how many grandchildren does Kamala have? All the things they're telling all about, they commiserate with the poor and so on. Kamala poor, you see how she living in? You see the kind of vehicles that they're driving. The next time Parliament convenes, drive up Abercrombie Street, between Knox Street and Hart Street, and look at the kind of vehicles on both sides of the road. And it's not only PNM ministers, right? Wait, go early, before 1:30, pull up like about 1:45 and see when the opposition members of Parliament pulling up and see the kind of vehicles that they drive in. None of them, they live in no poverty life, eh? Oh, just saying that. So when I went about the government and as I said, Dr. Rowley have family, Colmembo have family, every member of the cabinet has family members. You feel when these family members and friends go to the grocery, they say, well, Keith Rowley is my uncle. You feel let's say Keith Rowley is my uncle, so he had to charge me less. Or Colmembo is my cousin, so I had to pay less. You think when these ministers go to the groceries, the same prices you all paying is the same prices they paying? When they go to the gas stations, the same prices they paying at the pump? They're not paying anything different from what the rest of us pay. But you know, all jump up and say, yeah, but they're making the money. Or they're making the big money. The salaries that our ministers are making. Anyway, let me not go there, right? But we got to talk that another day because it's after 9 and I had to go. Folks, thank you all so much for joining me this morning. We will chat on Sunday morning, God's willing. Yes, we continue this discussion. Let me see if I'm able to wrap up my research with respect to the minimum wage and so on. And honestly, NHS doctors make you wait 13 weeks for an appointment, 10-minute session where you only allowed one medical complaint in the UK. Patty says Courthouse belongs to the UNC. Only them winning millions. Hope they carry it beyond the grave with them. Indeed. And then to listen to Munilal talking about the state of crime in the country and so on. And now you have crimes taking place outside the police station and the criminals are no longer afraid. You know why they're not afraid, Munilal? They're not afraid because they know if the police hold them, they're not going in the lockup. They might see the inside of the police station cell, right? And then they get bail 2 or 3 days later and they back out. So whereas before, as I said on a previous occasion, whereas before, they might have been concerned if they get catch, if the police hold them for murder, that they go inside remand and sit down there for 10, 15 years until the case called. Now, thanks to Jayanti and Anand, they know that if they commit a murder and they get hold, within 2 to 3 days, they back out on the street, free to be able to go and continue to commit more murders. Thanks to who? The UNC, not the PNM. So that is why they could now, they're even afraid to commit crimes outside the police station. And this thing about Yaha Sentry and all them, I don't know which police station he went to recently, but the past few stations that I passed, I never seen no sentry outside. Right? Look at that big fight outside the Grandy police station a couple weeks ago. I felt like 2 fellas beat up a man right in front the Grandy station. Any officers come out to do anything? Because the officers are disheartened. The officers fed up that when they put in all of this work, all of this effort to be able to fight crime and to hold the criminals, after months of investigations, when they finally hold these people, they're laughing at the police because, I don't worry, I will be out in the next 2 days, 2-3 days, bail. And that is exactly what happened. They get in bail and they're coming back out, thanks to the UNC. So that's why they don't care. They will kill people in front of the police station. And then these fellas are really, neither here nor there, they're dead. It is what it is. Because they know the lifestyle that they live in. It's only a matter of time before they know it have a bullet with their name on it. It's just a matter of when they will become intimately acquainted with these bullets. So they expect that they're any day. So if they engage the police and gunfire, they get killed, well, so I say what? Folks, we will chat again on Sunday morning. Thank you all so much. Have a productive day. Let's see if it rains. And look at a little overcast, but that's all right. So take care if you're going out. Drive safely on the roads. Don't get into no accidents, and we will be back on Sunday, God's willing. Yes, thank you, Desh, for joining me. Have a good day. Agnes Mondesir, Alicia, Annette, Patsy, thank you all. Janelle, Keto. Janelle says, Jamila, says sentry outside police station, stop years now. But that's why I know. Past few stations, I ain't seen no sentry. Folks, we chat on Sunday morning. Thank you.